Gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna make a sentimental journey.
I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana on February the 28th, 1922, to Inez Haynes and Philip Ignatius Smith.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, in the south part of Chicago, in a community called Morgan Park. And my family lived on the first street of Morgan Park, 1345 West 107th Street.
We had everything that we needed. Of course, this was 1922, and it was right before the Great Depression.
My mother was born in Canada, and she was Irish and French. And she met my dad when he ran on the railroad. My dad was American Indian and black. And when he went up to Canada, went up to Michigan, right at Canada, across from the water, he was told that there are beautiful women over on the other side of the bridge, Canadian women that wanted to meet American men. So he went over to a restaurant there. My mother's sisters were all working in the restaurant, and he met her. And every time he'd run up there, he would see her and everything. And he got married to her in Canada. And then they came across the bridge and got married in the United States. So we would run out of coal, and then we were freezing in the house. So 4 or 5 years of age, I took 2 of my sisters in my wagon and got some potato sacks. And I carried them down the train station, down at the train tracks, a block from my house. The train would come along there, and the train slowed down there for a reason, for always at that area, it would slow down so that another train can pass by or something. And I went over there and I climbed up on the ladder on the train. I had to flip the train because the train was moving, and I could barely go fast enough to get it at 4 or 5 years of age. I flipped the train and I climbed up the ladder, and I filled up the sacks with the coal, and the coal was real sticky on your hands and jet black, and you couldn't wipe it off your hands. And then I fill up the sacks and throw the sacks over, and then I throw some more coal over to the side, and my sister Eileen and Mary would pick up the coal and everything, put it in the wagon, and then I climbed down. I did that about 2 or 3 times, and the last time I did it, one of the policemen in the caboose shot at me, and I could hear the bullet go by, zoom, right by my ear, and I said, I quit that job. I ain't gonna do that no more.
Lynn had been reared by my mother's sister, Selita Smith. She and my mother were sisters, and they married 2 brothers. My Uncle August and Papa were brothers. So we lived almost like sisters and brothers. We were raised very close with each other.
We were poor, but we always had food. When I was hungry, I'd never complain, because my dad told me one time, we're doing the very best we can to feed you, so don't complain about no food or nothing. If you don't like the big plate of greens you got for dinner, then don't eat them. And you have to eat them because you get hungry. You eat anything almost to eat them. But what I would do is walk out the house and go to, I talked to all my neighbors, they all love me, and they told me anytime you need anything from their garden, go and help yourself, Earl, or fruit trees or anything. You help yourself, but you make sure you take enough for your brothers and sisters, and don't waste any of it.
When Mama was sick, we were staying with my aunt. Then she went into the hospital, and through all of this, you know, you make novenas and you pray and you hope, and you said she's going to get better and whatnot. But I came home from school one day, and my neighbor said, you have to go over to your aunt's house because all of my family, nobody was at the house. So when I went over there, then I found out that Mama had died.
Then we moved up to Woodlawn area, and we moved in with our grandmother when things got rough, and my dad had 4 kids and had a hard time paying the bills, so we moved to grandmother for about 2 years. I went to school there, went to the same elementary school that Nat King Cole went to. And then we rented a house in the last street for black people at 6810 Champlain in Chicago and Woodlawn, a very famous area in Woodlawn, part of Chicago, the south side of Chicago. And there, Joe Louis came by our house to visit us when he was champion, and a lot of different people that my sister knew. And my sister was dating a guy, my older sister Kay was dating a guy that was manager of the Regal Theater. His name was Kenneth Blewett. And all I have to do is call him up and ask for the manager. And I said, "This is Earl, Kay's brother. Can I go to the movies today?" And he said, "Oh, yes, Earl. You get out of school at 3 o'clock, be there at 3:30. And we would go there at 3:30, and we go in, and we see a Duke Ellington, Count Basie, the Mills Brothers, the Ink Spots, and everything. And then they show a movie, and then you have live entertainment on the stage. And I go in the bathroom and sit in there for about 15 minutes where everybody leaves, and then I can hear people coming in because they had people lined up to come in, and I go back in, so I get to see the movie twice, and I get to hear the great band, and all of the great bands, any of them you name, always appeared there.
Papa told us all, he says, "Now, we got to go on with our life. I don't want you grieving and crying and carrying on." So I guess it was his way of telling us everything's going to be all right. Yeah. Because he had to be the mama and the papa and all that jazz. I say all the time that the Depression is what killed her. She died in 1933. And times were really hard. So Lynn was the baby, so my aunt Selita took her and raised her. And the rest of us got by. I worked in a factory sewing men's shirts, but I didn't feel that I should take that money and go to school. Maybe, I don't know why I didn't, but I tried to encourage all young people to go past high school, get some kind of education.